isn't it? There. So we're here to increase our awareness of the source, the Creator, God, Spirit, love, light, our awareness of that, and our connection to that. That's why we're here. We're here every Sunday to remind ourselves of that, no matter what happens during the week and how many times we might have fallen into disharmony. How wonderful it is to come back on Sunday morning and be with other like-minded people who remind us who we are and what we stand for. What a miracle is this. This beautiful little chapel, 1700 East Railroad, Gulfport, Mississippi. And you too, Bob. I'm glad to see you back. Wonderful, each and every one of you. And I saw BJ just a moment ago. She's coming back. Wonderful. So come home to yourself. It's what we're reminding ourselves of. After a while, you don't even need to notice. You just notice that you're joyful, you're peaceful, you're happy. There's a story of a disciple who went to the master and said, "Could you give me a word of wisdom? Could you tell me something that would guide me through my days?" Well, it was the master's day of silence, so he picked up a pad and he wrote awareness. When the disciple saw it, he said, "This is too brief. Can you expand upon it?" So the master took back the pad and he wrote, awareness, awareness, awareness. The disciple said, "But what does it mean?" The master took back the pad and he wrote, awareness, awareness, awareness means awareness. That's what it means to watch yourself. When you talk to someone, are you aware of it? Or are you simply just there, but not aware? When you're angry with someone, were you aware that you were angry? Or were you just identifying with the anger? Later, when you had the time to study your experience, did you attempt to understand it? Where did it come from? What brought it on? There's no other way to awareness than to observe how we act in the world. That's the only way. When you do not understand, you're not aware, then you repress it. And you're not going to change. I'll take that. Thank you. And the train gave us an opportunity. The Serenity Prayer. It's all we need, really. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Anything in your world that you can identify right now with that. Grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Courage to change the things I can, that are within my power to change, and my business, I might add, not someone else's. Courage to change the things I can that are mine. and the wisdom to know the difference. Wisdom. We've been talking about wisdom for 3 or 4 weeks now in different aspects of it. It is one of the 12 powers that were identified by Myrtle and Charles Fillmore. And I find that there's so many different aspects of wisdom. I wanted to talk about it a few weeks and talk about that. Wisdom is what we're looking for. Wisdom is our ability to discern, to evaluate, and to make decisions. It's also our inner guidance, intuition, and being able to judge with spiritual discernment and not judging from the human mind, which is what we are so accustomed to doing. And by the way, that's why if you did have a time this week where you fell into a bit of chaos or disharmony, that's where it came from. You were judging from your ego, your mind, instead of using your spiritual discernment. And with wisdom, we draw upon Spirit for guidance. So we're going to talk this morning about how do we use our wisdom to find inner peace. It's what we're all looking for. So are you waiting for things to calm down a bit before you can be at peace? Inner peace eludes many people who expect to discover it after things calm down, slow down, or finally run down. But some wisdom from antiquity attributed to the French philosopher Montaigne tells a different story about inner peace. He tells that when the great Greek king Pyrrhus prepared for his expedition into Italy, his wise counselor Sinus drew him aside and implored him to please reconsider his aggressive strategy. Please, he said, "Sir, to what end do you make all this mighty preparation?" So the king says, "To make myself master of Italy." His counselor said, "And what after that is done, might I ask?" "Well, I will pass into Gaul," which as we know now as the area of France and some other territories, and Spain. "Well, then what?" asked the counselor. "Oh, I will then go to subdue Africa, and lastly, when I've brought the whole world to my subjection, I will sit down and rest, content and at my ease." "For God's sake, sir," said his counselor, "tell me what hinders that you may not, if you please, be now in that condition of ease? Why do you not now, at this instant, settle yourself in the state you seem to aim at and spare all this labor and disaster and hazard that you interpose?" "Why," he said, "can you not be at peace now? You have everything you need in this moment and more. Why? Why?" So gratefully today, we're learning different attitudes about war and peace. But can that advice apply to our hectic and conflicted lives right now? What keeps you from inner peace and contentment that you crave now? Must life's battles be fought and won before you can be satisfied? television personality Dave Garroway. Anyone remember him? I do, for sure. He spoke about finding peace. He said, I happen to be one of those people who can afford anything he wants, anything. But I find what I really want, I can't buy it all. I want peace of mind, peace of soul, the kind of peace you have when you really don't want anything. Peace seems to come less from getting what we want than from simply wanting less and being at peace in this moment and accepting what is. Acceptance. When I'm faced with the decision, I quiet my mind and go within to tap into the wisdom and the power within that resides within me. I reach beyond my intellectual knowledge and life experience and allowing the indwelling Spirit to inform me. One day, you will look back and see that through every challenge and every hurt, you were growing into the incredible person that you have become. Can we choose inner peace now? Alan Cohen, a pretty popular spiritual teacher, spoke about his mother. And he said, when I first began meditating, I tried to convert my mother. But Jewish mothers have arsenals of truth, and young meditators just cannot begin to fathom those. She said right away, I already know how to meditate. Really? He asked her, how do you do it? She said, well, I sit at my apartment window with my coffee. She explained, then I just look out at the world going by. My mind doesn't function. I don't think happy thoughts. I don't think sad thoughts. I don't think any thoughts. It's the best part of my day. Have any of us learned to meditate so deeply that we can do that? It's not easy, is it? With the things going on in the world and all of the things that we see before us and all of the things that we have to be concerned about in our own lives. Some of us have roofs to repair. Some of us have our own medical conditions. We have family with medical, financial issues. There's so many reasons, so many things that can take us away from our inner peace, aren't there? And to be able to do as this Jewish mother did and sit by the window and for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, whatever amount of time, and to just be at peace. Not think sad thoughts, happy thoughts. Just be at peace. How wonderful that is. It's the best part of the day. One day, as we look at these challenges, we'll look back and say, that turned out to be a blessing, didn't it? We'll know. So if you're able to pray and if you're able to go into that Jewish mother meditation, you are truly blessed, truly blessed. Yesterday's daily word, I just loved it. It was inner peace, and of course that's what we're talking about today. And then today's daily word fit right into that. And thank you for reading it, Diane. Part of our inner peace is forgiving ourselves. I can also forgive myself for the times I did not have inner peace. So please, take yourself down off the cross, would you? For the times you did not have inner peace, the times you got it wrong, the times you misjudged. So let us take ourselves down off the cross too. Forgive yourself for not being at peace. The moment you completely accept your non-peace, it is transmuted into peace. Anything you accept fully, you get. So forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for those moments of disharmony. What you thought was a mistake, an error, and judgment. Forgive yourself. Please forgive yourself. And I'm taken back to a talk by Eric Butterworth where he talked about the true point of beginning. And Eric Butterworth was one of the best known unity ministers out there. In one of his talks from 1975, he said that civil engineers use a true term, or a term that is perfectly applicable to man and his journeys through life. And that's the true point of beginning. So in surveying a piece of land, there's always a starting point, which is clearly marked and identified. And after establishing this point, the legal description may be described something like north 19 degrees, 21 minutes, 11 seconds, thence east, thence south, thence west, to the true point of beginning. What is our true point of beginning? For us, the true point of beginning is the realization of the truth of our oneness with God. It's that simple. It's what we talked about earlier. When we truly realize, when we truly are aware of our oneness with God. It could well be the Hebrew word shekinah, the presence of God. We go back to the true point of beginning. Be still and know. So whatever practice you have for attaining inner peace, start there. Be still and know. Excuse me. Be still and know. Stop yourself right in the minute, right in the middle of that very minute of disharmony, chaos. Stop yourself right in the middle of that. Just stop. Just stop. Stop. And you can form that habit just the way you formed every habit and way of thinking and way of being that you have all throughout your life. You've responded to life as an adult the way you learned as a child. Whatever you were taught from your parents and everyone around you, and many of the ways you respond, many of the ways you think of yourself, maybe your role in the world, who you are. Those thoughts, those ideas were formulated sometimes from ideas that were not truth. Most of them were well-meaning. Our parents wanted us to grow up and do well in the world and be successful. But many times they, by giving or forcing those ideas on us, which they did, maybe we came up with an idea about ourselves that we were not good enough, smart enough, Or maybe we were left with the idea that we were smarter than everyone else. Maybe we had a role in the family that we were the bully. And that's how we've gone about life. We haven't changed a bit. I've seen several roles in families like that, especially large families, where the older one thought they always needed to tell younger people what to do, and they're still doing it even today. Or maybe the youngest one in the family never had any confidence, and they've been going through life in that way. So it's time, don't you think, that we need to go within, be still and know who you are and to whom you are connected and who the true parent is. And that true parent wants us to know that we are worthy and we are capable of doing whatever it is that we're meant to do in this lifetime. And if we'll be still and know and stay in the silence long enough, we'll know. We'll accept it. This will allow us to have the wisdom to see the larger context of whatever it is that we're involved in. And we generally will see that at a later time, but you may be evolved to the point right now where you can be in a situation and you can also see the larger context. You can say, wow, this feels kind of yucky. I don't like it. But I do see that in the end, there's a larger picture here. I see my role in it. And you can train yourself right in the middle of those situations to actually leave your body. And you're up here looking down at this human situation. And you can actually have compassion and love for this human that's going through this ordeal at this moment. You can always see the larger picture. Always. Always. And if you think you can't, just pray for that. God, Spirit, Creator, Love, Source, Divine, help me to see. I would see with the eyes of love, wisdom, the all-knowing. Find peace in the midst of that challenge. Find peace right there. And when you've gone to a higher place, you can surrender, forgive yourself. This little person, have compassion, generosity, and love and forgiveness. She or he, they've done the best they could, and they're trying. So have compassion for that person too. Forgive. Remember at all times that inner peace is always, always, always. No matter what is going on around you, it's always there and possible, and it's a choice. And as we go through this, all these steps, they will become habit, I promise, and they probably have for most of you. I don't even need to repeat these to you. You already know. Be grateful. Always, always have gratitude in your heart. Thankfulness. Be grateful for everything that has come your way and for your role in this life. Every single thing. Thank you, God, for the learning. I would see peace instead of this chaos and this disharmony. So I just hope as you go through your week, every day, that you will become a little more peaceful, a little happier. I just pray that you will find the way to have the courage to make it through every situation, to say, I could see peace instead of this, and to find the miracle that is within every challenge, and that is for us to put God on it or give our situation to God. Right here, right now, I pray that every situation that is in your heart and your mind this morning will be solved. And we're handing it over right now. We're handing this over to God, giving it to God. We're going to give it the golden key, handing it over to God. So I pray peace in your life. I pray love for each and every one of you. Oh, how much I love you. Thank you for being here. And those of you online too, I love you equally. So have a beautiful week, and thank you for your time.